The Vivo X100 Ultra has been with me for about 7 months. I've been thinking for a while about whether I should make a video about my impressions after using this phone for a longer period, and I decided it might be helpful for someone. This will be more about my personal feelings than a typical review. The X100 Ultra is a phone that of all phones I had in 2024 impressed me the most, and is the one I've used the longest compared to all the other phones I had. And why? I will try to explain this in this movie. When it comes to ergonomics and design, it's very good. Vivo introduced the IP69 standard last year, which most smartphones are only starting to have this year. The curved edges of the screen improve the grip, and the phone feels really good to hold. Some may be bothered by the huge camera island, but there is some kind of trade-off. This camera island hides the phone's biggest advantage, but I will get to that in a moment. The screen of the Vivo X100 Ultra is top tier, in my opinion, of course. LTPO with increased refresh rate up to 120 Hz and the maximum brightness of 3000 nits. However, I think this year they should switch this screen to a flatter, some kind of flatter screen, like the one we have in OnePlus 13 or Vivo X200 Pro. A less rounded one, maybe a little curved on all four sides, it will make it way more comfortable to use. I don't have complaints about brightness in direct sun, although I've seen phones where the brightness was even better. The auto brightness works very well and really annoyed me. The ultrasonic fingerprint reader built into the screen has also been working perfectly for me after this time. It is a good height and works quickly. And now moving on the phone performance. My initial experience with the Vivo X100 Ultra was of course different from phones with global distributions. That's pretty obvious to anyone, I think. I won't hide it. At first, I was a bit worried. What if I can get the hang of it? But you know, after some time, I realized that this phone has brought me a lot of joy. I realized that OriginOS offers a lot of settings and customizations options that you can find on the global, for example, FantageOS. Over time, I can't really complain much. There have been quite a few updates. For example, we now have Android Auto and all notifications from Always On Display on the screen, which weren't there at the start. A downside for me, for some people, might be the lack of eSIM. Most Chinese apps can be removed from the phone or using an app like an ADB app control. I also sometimes get questions about whether I'm still getting notifications in Chinese despite removing most Chinese apps and switching language. And let me tell you, yes, it happened sometimes, especially with notifications from the Vivo shop that can be removed, but it's nothing that annoys me. The phone runs very fast, all apps open without any noticeable delay. I want to point out that Vivo is a phone that tends to heat up, especially during benchmarks like 3D Mark. Every time I could get the temperature to spike up to 56 degrees, and then the phone would show a message saying it needed to cool down. But thankfully, even under strong sunlight during 4K 60 frames recording, phone didn't slow, although it did happen that the screen dimmed. However, despite this, I never received a message about overheating in the normal use, during the normal using. Vivo offers a maximum of 3 years of Android updates, and it would be nice if they extended this time to 5 years. I still can complain about range and call quality. Is one of the best phone I have tested in that regard.
Hello.
How do you hear me?
I think it's okay. You have to talk more.
but my voice is clear. Do you hear mm, any problems?
I think it's very clear right
And
now.
and you don't hear any sibilance or something like that, the high voices, nothing?
Uh, no, it's very clear.
The speakers are very good. I actually surprised from the very beginning how well they perform compared to phones like X200 Pro or Oppo Find X8 Pro. It's not just about the volume. The sound is wider and there is even a bit of bass. Although I still think the speakers on Samsung like S23 Ultra or S24 Ultra or iPhones are better overall. The codecs are one of the reasons why I kept the X100 Ultra for so long. It supports a full range of codecs from LDAC, LHDC, aptX, aptX HD, aptX Adaptive and Lossless. I use headphones that support aptX Lossless, and there is a huge advantage for me because aptX Lossless isn't available on many phones. And now let's talk about the camera. This is probably the main thing that keeping me attached to the Vivo X100 Ultra. From the very first photo I took with it, I knew I was holding a potential phone of the year for 2024. And that's exactly what happened. What caught my attention right away were the photos from the main camera. The 1-inch sensor really makes difference and is not just about the level of detail, although it is obviously excellent. What I really love is the depth and the texture in the photos. They have real depth, defined plans, and they are not flat. Plus, they are pretty soft, and that's something I really like. We have 3 photo modes to choose from: textured, vivid, and natural. I use the phone in natural mode, and all the photos shown here are taken in natural mode. I also like the humanistic strip snap camera because it allows us to correct all the parameters on the photo. Another thing I love about the Vivo is the telephoto lens. It's probably the best on the market right now, but of course that could change this year. The level of detail in this telephoto lens captures an ability to get too close to the subject is really impressive. Connected to the telephoto lens is the telemacro feature. This is something that keeps me loyal to Vivo, and it's something I really miss in the current smartphones. The close-up shots are phenomenal, even up to 30x, and there aren't too many smartphones that offer that. The zoom is also something to be proud of. I previously said the X200 Pro, of course I said it in my Polish channel, had the best zoom, but now that Vivo released an update adding super telephoto enhancement, the X100 Ultra is probably on par with the X200 Pro. But I can't say that for sure, as I hadn't had the X200 Pro after this update to compare them. What doesn't stand out in the Vivo X100 Ultra is the ultra-wide angle. It's good, but it doesn't shine compared to the other top smartphones. Of course, we can't forget about the portrait modes, especially the high-resolution portraits. It does a great job separating the subjects from the background, especially with hair, and offers several focal lengths: 24, 35, 50, 85, 100 and 135 millimeters, which was added in the latest update. This make is a very versatile camera for portraits. It's also worth mentioning the scene modes, like for example humanistic, street and landscape, which allow you to capture interesting shots that look different from the typical smartphone photos. The front camera also holds up well. It may not be the absolute best front camera on the market, but is definitely among the top. Many phones suffer from cutting the hair from the subject when it comes to the front camera portraits, but here it usually performs very well. Night photos are quite natural and detailed. They are not overexposed or too dark. The automatic night mode is very good. Vivo does a great job with flares and reflections. Of course, it's not a 1% reduction, but you can see a significant difference compared to many other smartphones. Additionally, this is one of the best phones for taking photos in motion. Thanks to the snapshot mode, which can be used even for the close-up shots up to 10x, photos in more difficult conditions still turn out well, both with the 1x and telephoto lens. The 10x zoom, especially under artificial lights, doesn't do so well, so I personally avoid it, but the One X or telephoto lens look great. In terms of video recording, it's very good here. In good light conditions, it may not be as good as, for example, in iPhone 16 Pro Max, but in lower light conditions, especially on the telephoto lens, the Vivo performs even better. We have option to recording in 8K 30 FPS, in 4K 60 frames, we can switch between on lenses, and we can switch from the main camera to the front camera, for example. Recording in 4K 120 FPS is also available, allowing us to get high quality slow motion. And we can also recording with Dolby Vision. Vivo X100 Ultra 4K 60 frames front facing camera. Here we can pause recording, we can take photo, and we can switch to the main lens. Now we check how it looks like towards the sun. You can see the flare here. And now running. What I miss most about the Vivo camera at the moment, I think now is the main camera with the variable smooth mechanical aperture. But nevertheless, it's a very versatile camera, and in my opinion, it's still one of the best on the market. I can really complain about the battery either, although with my usage, 2 SIM cards, one of them for roaming, it's not the best phone I have in that regard. I get about 4 to 5 hours screen on time. Mixed use is fine. At the end of the day, from about 6:30, I usually have about 25 battery left. But if I were to use it all day with mobile data and mainly the camera, I always take a power bank with me just in case. Because the camera can use a lot of battery power, and in summer this is even more noticeable. The X100 Ultra has made such a strong impression on me that I decided to keep it for another year. I'm not selling it for now, no matter what 2025 brings and whether I switch to a different phone. Even if I do, the X100 Ultra will stay as my second phone. Excellent call quality, good range, all the essential audio codecs, and above all, amazing camera make the X100 Ultra one of the most interesting devices of 2024 in my opinion. Of course, I know it's not for everyone. It's only available in China, it doesn't have eSIM, and it requires some personalization to make it work well. So it's not phone for everyone, but for those who are more brave, I think even in 2025 it's a very interesting alternative. Thank you very much for this video. I hope it was helpful for you. And of course, I invite you to my next videos. See you.